All right. Hello. Welcome to the Broadview Public Library's September book banter. And we are bantering about the book Golden Girl by Elin Hilderbrand. Is that right? It's Ellen. I looked it up. That's what I thought. Her name is spelled weird. Yeah. But it's someone, when I listened to it, they pronounced it Ellen. So if we're pronouncing this wrong, forgive us, Miss Hilderbrand. Just say that. All right. So Golden Girl. I'm Tisha.
I'm Yvonne.
And we have another guest here today. I'm so excited. Miss Andrea is joining us for our book banter today. So it's always fun when we have a special guest for our book banter. So we're super excited. So Miss Yvonne, why don't you give us a summary of this Golden Girl by Miss Hilderbrand?
Okay, well, the story kind of centers around Vivian house. She is a popular author who writes popular books about her life experiences and places she lived. It starts out when she gets hit by a car, which is kind of a mystery. Nobody knows really how she, who hit her. So throughout the story, the first thing they tell you is that she gets hit, she goes to the great beyond, heaven, what they're trying to tell you. And she's like looking down and she's trying to figure out, well, who exactly hit her. She's trying to not only do that, but watch over her kids because she wasn't ready to go. She was trying to figure out why me, why now? Is there someone they can save me when they get to the hospital or whatever? But that doesn't happen. So she's given a person who comes down to help her transition, sort of help her through the time from now until she actually does pass on. So throughout this segment, she is actually given 3 nudges, which you can use to kind of stir or either direct different things that's going on. So she tells her for 3 months throughout the summer, she can actually watch her life, like everything the kids are going through and everybody else. She can like look down and just see what everybody's doing. And she can use these nudges, but she told her if she does, she better make sure if she really wants to use them, but she only gets to 3. So she, like I said, she gets hit and she doesn't know who hit her, but the mystery kind of goes around everybody who she knows. So they're trying to figure out who this person was because it has to be somebody who knew her. So at first stop, it's this kid who she kind of took in. He was raised by his dad. They never say what happened to his mother, did they?
Mm-hmm.
Did she? No, they never mentioned what happened to his mother. But anyway, he was raised by his dad, who was a Iraq veteran. So she kind of took him under her wings, treated her as one of her sons. And the suspicion kind of falls like on him. So everybody is kind of surrounded because he's the one who finds her. He was driving to their house. She gets hit and they assume it had to be him because he was the only one on the scene. So they assume it had to be him. She didn't feel ever it was him, but that's how the suspicion starts going around. So Tisha, what happens after that?
So they assume it's him because he's the only Black kid that is in the area. So that's why they assume it's this kid Cruz. And like you said, no more innocent. What happened to innocent bystanders? Like, I'm the one that called the police. Why would I hit her and then call the police in the first place? So they assume that they try to make it seem like he did this, but there's no evidence on his car. There's nothing linking him to this crime, but they have no other suspects, or I don't even think they tried to find any other suspects. You can jump in anytime. Don't feel like you have to be silent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, I think the one sheriff, I guess, he didn't believe it, but he couldn't find, he just had a feeling he didn't do it. He was really trying to prove him innocent because he didn't want it to be him because he was the only Black kid. So he was really trying to find an angle of who this could be.
So let's start out, we're saying he's the only Black kid. Let's start out by saying where this is at, first of all. So that matters because we're saying he's the only Black kid. So this story takes place in Nantucket, which is an island in Massachusetts. And I'm assuming it's modern day, like it's during this time. And so these the main character is Vivian Howe, who is an author. And like Yvonne said, she gets hit. And then her children are Willa, Carson, and Leo. Willa's the oldest, Carson's in the middle, and Leo is the youngest. And then there is her ex-husband, JP.
Yeah.
It's her ex-husband and her best friend, Savannah. And then JP's current girlfriend, Amy. JP and Vivi are divorced. And then Leo's best friend is this Cruz, who we're talking about. Leo's girlfriend is Marissa. And then there's the chief that's investigating Vivi's death because they want to find out who hit her and, you know, who killed her basically. So yeah, Cruz is the only suspect they have. He's not investigating anybody else because he doesn't have any other evidence to go on. So he's the only suspect they have. He doesn't even, I felt like the chief didn't even consider it could be anybody else, even though he kind of has a feeling he knows Cruz didn't do it. But I don't really feel like he did any real investigating to me in this book because he didn't investigate nothing.
He didn't have it. I felt like he felt bad about it. He didn't want it to be him.
Well,
But
remember what stirred it up? Because the cop said he saw him speeding that way. I mean, he blew a stop sign.
He lied.
I know that's what I'm saying, but who knew that then? He's a cop. Who wouldn't believe the cop? He works for him. So he's like, okay, well, if he was speeding, let's ask him some questions. And then what made Cruz seem kind of suspicious because whatever had happened the night before, he refused to talk about it.
But there was no evidence on his car. His car, wasn't no blood, wasn't no forensic, wasn't no.
But they didn't have anybody else to look at.
But that's my point. So he didn't investigate nothing.
Well, he did. Remember, he looked at the same. There was no track marks. There was no car signs of a car ever been other than his. Then he said there was no track, like the car had driven there and then backed up. Although he found out later.
Like I said, he didn't do no real investigating.
He did what he could.
he didn't have anything to go on. He didn't want it to be Cruz because he figured Cruz was a nice guy, but he had nothing else to go on. So he's like, I don't want to do this, but I don't know what else to do because there's nothing else here that would prove it. He even tried to get the clothing or something,
Right.
and the clothes were gone. So it was like, okay, well, I can't.
He didn't have anything else gone but that. So he didn't arrest Cruz. All he did was question him. I mean, he could have. He thought he was guilty. Threw him in jail and then tried to investigate, but because he knew and felt that he did not the one who did it, that's why he never did. So he just went about his business and questioned everybody in town, trying to figure out what exactly.
But that's what I said, how are you gonna call it a hit and run if you suspect the person that did it, the one that called the police? It's not a hit and run if you think that I did it, yet I'm the one that called the police in the first place, but you're now accusing me of being the person that hit her. So how is this a hit and run? The whole concept behind investigating a hit and run is that you don't have the person that did it. The person that did it didn't call the police in the first place.
He never thought he did it. He always said he never thought that Cruz was the one who hit her.
I guess
But
the
he
point
had to
of this,
investigate to find out what was going on. His car was the only one on there. The cop had just said, well, he the one was speeding down the road a second before this woman got hit. He blew the stop sign. So the cops, so he's just going about that. That's the only witness information he had. My cop saying he saw this guy drive down the street, speeding, run the stop sign, and then 2 seconds later, this woman gets hit.
I disagree. He has two witnesses. He has Cruz. He's a witness. He called the police.
But that's not evidence. If you hit somebody, I mean, you might yourself not want to be, you know.
But he never considered Cruz as a witness, only as a suspect, and that's my point. He was a witness. He didn't witness the person, the police officer witnessed Cruz run the stop sign, which he later found out he didn't do.
Right.
But he never considered Cruz as a witness. Cruz told him exactly what happened. I was driving, I was going to their house because me and Leo had an incident. He didn't want to say what it was and he didn't have to. But when I was coming around, I saw her on the ground. He is a witness because he witnessed her lying there in the dirt dead. But the chief never treated him as a witness, only as a suspect.
Well, he didn't witness who did it.
Neither did the cop, though.
He didn't witness who did it. But he saw her laying there. So, like I said, I don't think I think he did not want. He just didn't have anything, and he did do a little more.
As a cop, he had to investigate it that way. He couldn't just say, "Okay, fine, go home." That would be wrong. He has to make sure that the kid did not hit him and just was feeling guilty and saying, "I didn't do it." That's how the story.
Right, he had to eliminate him.
Right, so that's what he was doing the whole time.
Yeah, he didn't know who did it, but he had to eliminate him from doing it.
So
So
he really didn't.
He actually said he was trying to disprove that he had actually hit her and then just felt guilty about it.
Vivi knew he didn't hit her. His dad
didn't know either.
Yeah,
she kept asking. She knew, like,
Remember,
she felt that he did, but she kept asking, was it him? Because she couldn't believe if
that
it
he
was
would.
him.
No, she knew it was him. His
So she
daddy
truly
knew it
believed
wasn't
but
him.
still, the cop could not just say, okay, kid, go home. He had to investigate it, and which he did. Like I said, he could have put him in jail.
I don't feel like
He could have put, when he questioned him at the station, because he knew that he was hiding
But he
something.
didn't have any evidence that he didn't
Yeah,
have any
but he knew
forensic
the way,
evidence.
remember how he back
But
that station?
the way somebody feels isn't evidence though. That's not
But
evidence.
that's
You can't
how
put that in
cops
court.
think. They say, okay, you're nervous, you don't want to talk to me. you
That's
don't wanna
not
tell me
evidence,
something.
though. That's
something
Yeah,
circumstantial.
but that makes him a person of interest. Why are
Right.
you nervous?
Which
Why?
is what he did. He didn't
But
arrest
that's
him.
not evidence. He has no
didn't
evidence.
accuse him of hitting her. He just
Mm.
asked.
Right, because
what
he didn't,
happened.
yeah, he didn't
never
arrest
said
him.
hit her,
He
right?
had to do that, but he didn't arrest him.
He
You
just went
know,
around
there's nothing else I
questioning
can do.
everybody in the community about what had happened. And he kept trying to ask him, well, what happened the night before? And he's like, I don't talk about it.
Which we later
Kept,
found
why
out
was
why.
you rushing over to, your friend's house so early in the morning? Because and then he lied. Remember, he said he was coming from home, and that's another thing. He lied. He wasn't
So
coming from
the
home.
police officer.
I'm saying, okay, if the police officer tells his chief, he's not gonna disbelieve the police officer unless he got a reason to. Okay, so but Cruz lied. He asked him, where were you coming from? He said, I was coming from home. Well, he knew he wasn't coming from home because of the direction he was coming in. He was coming from
Peter's house.
Peter's house about what had happened the night before. So
Right.
that's another thing.
Which
If you
is-
lying,
right.
then you got something to hide. Why are you lying to me then?
He's hiding because we now
Right,
know
but
what
see,
he
he
was
don't
hiding.
know that. He trying to figure out exactly
But
what's
he
happening.
felt
Nobody's
like
telling
you
him.
said, that's none of your business. The chief don't need to know that.
Yeah,
Like,
but
don't
he's
worry
the chief.
about it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to
everything
know.
Figure out what actually happened.
I
to
thought-
this.
Yeah, and I think he was trying to find out what happened.
He
What,
did.
what
I
is
think
it that
he
you're
did.
hiding? What
That's
is
what
it?
I'm saying.
you're-
He found out about this picture and then what? What did he do with it? Absolutely nothing.
Cause
Yet,
it wasn't nothing to do with the.
my point exactly.
But he didn't know that at the time. But still, did he know?
Like I
he didn't know
said,
the
he
picture.
didn't. He didn't investigate nothing.
But he didn't know the picture even existed. He had no idea what exactly had happened because nobody would talk. He wouldn't talk. His friend wouldn't tell him what was going on. Nobody wanted to talk about what had happened the night before. And
Well,
that was the problem. So he's trying to figure out what's happening and everybody's shutting up, not saying nothing.
well. So Vivi, is in heaven or wherever she is at, in limbo with Martha. Martha is her guide.
Right.
Okay, so after this accident, Vivi died suddenly. Vivi has a new book that's supposed to come out soon.
Right.
Her daughter Willa is pregnant. She hasn't told everybody yet.
Right, because she has a history of miscarriages.
Right,
She was afraid to tell anybody yet.
Her middle daughter Carson is like a wild child. She's into drugs and alcohol and stuff.
Married men.
Yeah.
And Leo has just graduated high school and is supposed to be on his way to college. Vivi, they had this college trip planned where she drops him off. So that what was going on in Vivi's life when she's died. Someone hit her as she was doing her morning job. And the person that hit her, why was that person going that way anyway? Did they ever say?
She was going to see Leo.
Yeah, because she saw the picture.
She saw the picture.
Oh,
Remember?
that's what she was
She
going to
was
say.
going to see Leo because the picture got sent to Cruz, it got sent to her.
Okay.
So both of them was on their way to go see Leo to, I guess, confront him about this photograph.
So the
That
person that
nobody
hit,
would understand where Cruz, obviously,
Okay.
because it kind of looked like what she wasn't doing that.
Right.
She, because she, I don't know, she just a nut.
She
anyway.
knew.
Well,
Yeah,
she
she's
saw
crazy.
that and she was like, oh.
she thought she could blackmail
Yeah.
Leo probably
Maybe to stay with
to
her,
stay it right.
Mhm,
but she
right.
didn't want to
So
stay with her at all.
so basically the book is about Vivi, and now that she's gone, it's about how her kids navigate life without their mother, how
Because she was one of those
Savannah,
mothers who did everything for their kids. I mean,
Right.
she was the mom or the parent who did absolutely everything. The dad, like after they got divorced, he went on with his little friend that he had claimed he fell in love with. But actually, he
She called
wasn't
her a
actually
friend.
in love. He just was mad because Vivi had gotten successful. She had started writing novels and her books got more and more successful. So she spent less and less time with him, stroking his ego. And he was like this failure. He came from a wealthy family. He had money from his family, but whenever he tried a business, it never worked out.
dang,
And she supported him no
Failure.
matter what he did. Remember, no matter what he did, she never talked down to him. She always said, okay, why don't you try this? Why don't you do this?
yeah, no,
She always tried to encourage him, but after a while, she kind of got fed up. She's like, he just
but
was
she
not
stayed with
motivated.
him. Like I
he's
don't.
not doing anything. He's like one of the kids now. I have to do everything for him too.
But
So
she stayed with him. He
she
was the
did,
one.
because she didn't want to break up the family. She wanted to keep her family
So,
together.
like I said, I think that Yvonne called him a failure. His name's JP. So
Well, he wasn't he just didn't have no motivation.
Yeah,
You
he
know,
wasn't-
some kids, when you're rich, you get handed everything.
he,
You
but he
don't
was
work
trying.
hard
He
to
was
get
trying
He
to
was trying
do
little good jobs and
Right.
little things and
But
little,
to see
you
if he
know,
found
He
his
told
niche,
her.
and he just
I mean,
never
yeah,
did.
but-
Yeah, that's all. I wouldn't
Yeah,
call
but
him a
it took him a
failure.
while.
At least he was trying. Though a failure would be he just living off her money, which eventually he
Well,
did.
he did.
But I mean, he had the ice cream shop later on.
even
It
when
wasn't
his
like
wine
he
shop
wasn't.
fell apart, she was paying the bills. She was paying the rent for the bills. for the
But I mean, he
building
got
was
back on
in
his
and
feet, like you said.
all
It
that.
takes time to start a business, and I understand what
know.
you're saying.
He
Yeah,
coulda did something else.
they just, you know, he just
tried
didn't
everything.
find
He
his
tried
niche.
selling real estate.
Yeah,
He tried all this
but the
stuff.
point is, he tried. He didn't give up. He
That's it.
tried.
Well, she didn't give up on him.
Right, that's my
She
point.
tried, but she just got fed up
He
and-
left her for whatever
Well, yeah,
reason.
he left her. She would have still hung
Because
on.
his
Right,
reasons
she would've
for
still
her-
hung in
to
there.
her was that she wasn't really paying him no mind.
Mhm.
So he felt if he went this little girl, this young girl,
And
he
she was
hired,
young and she was
then
looking up
she
to
would,
him and
you know,
she
I guess
spoke his
fall
ego.
down like, oh my God, but she was like,
Right, Vivian was
hey,
like
I
deuces.
got my own money, I don't really need you
Right, that's
for
what she
that.
said. She, you know, she obviously was broken up, but she
She pulled
picked
it
up
together
and
got herself
moved
together.
out to the
Right,
money
and then
pit.
he got support from her.
Right,
Right,
even though
she
he's
was
the one that
taking care of
cheated
him.
on him, cheated on her. She had to pay him alimony.
Right.
And they was
Even his
living off her
girlfriend
money.
is, and at that, the girlfriend never liked Vivi because she felt that Vivi paid for everything, which she did. She paid. for
But
what
she,
he
the
did.
girlfriend, was taking
Paid
that
for
money.
this. She did. She took it, and she went out to debt. Whatever they did, you know, she got
Right,
benefit
yeah.
from it. Yeah, but
I think-
after them being together for over 10 years, she realized that eventually there was nothing.
I think the girlfriend, not that she didn't like Vivi, she was insecure
She
Yeah,
about
she
it
was very
because it
insecure.
seemed like Vivi didn't have any hard feelings, because like she was saying,
She
you know, forgive, let go, move
Right,
on.
she'd go,
That's
she
what
went
I
over and
always
talked
say.
to her when they,
Yes,
when
it had-
the daughter got
Vivi
married.
was
She,
actually very
right, she
Right,
Right,
at
to
the
her,
at the
actually.
games, as I said, so
Right,
it was
yeah.
Amy's issue. That was Amy's
was
internal.
her insecurities.
That was right, her insecurities, because Vivi was like, "What's up? You know, like you can have them, you know, if you want them."
Hey, I got my
But yeah, as I said, she was never bitter about paying all this alimony. She did what she had to
No,
do,
she did
and
it
she continued to
willingly,
live her
seemed like.
life and be happy.
Right,
And
right.
so yeah, like, and JP realized later on he probably still was in love with her when he left, but like you said, he might have his own insecurities
Right.
as well.
Maybe he
Right,
felt like he
needed,
let
right.
her down by not being the success that
He needed to be
he
needed.
wanted to
Mhm.
be for her. You know, she was taken off and he was still here. Yeah,
But-
so the story, they kind of, she goes like looking at the kids, seeing how they do throughout not having her around, how they handle life. And the wild child actually was still wild. And the oldest one who was pregnant was just trying to, you know, hold on to this baby because she had so many miscarriages in the past. And then in the midst of that, them trying to figure out who hit her, somebody from Vivi's past comes up. What was the name?
Brett
Barbara-
Caspian.
Brett
Caspian.
Caspian.
Somebody who she knew back when she was in high school that nobody even knew she even knew.
A boyfriend, because she
Yeah,
didn't
but she
say.
never told anybody she had a boyfriend. in high
Well,
school.
we find
Nobody.
out why.
Not even her best friend knew she had a
Mhm.
boyfriend in high school. So she tried to contact him, I guess, before the book come out, because according to what she says about the book, Golden Girl was based on a song he had wrote for her back then. And the story itself kind of talks about their relationship. She changes names and circumstances, but when he reads some of it, he figures out that this is about us. So he contacts the oldest daughter, wanted to talk to her, who was shocked that this guy even existed in the first place. And when he first came up, I thought maybe he was trying to get some money, because, you know, trying to get some money from the book, but actually he was pretty nice. He just wanted to let them know that their mother had another life prior to what they knew now.
She was a different person.
Right, she's
like,
a different
this is her,
person.
because she never talked about her
She never
past.
talked
life.
about her past
Never talked
life.
about her. One
No.
thing I really want her to write is what happened to her daddy.
Yeah.
Because she never really talked about
No,
her
it's-
dad, and she didn't have that great of a relationship with her mom. So she never really talked about her past. Her kids didn't know she had a high school boyfriend.
No.
Kids didn't know she lied to this boyfriend, and
Right.
even Savannah. I don't think Savannah knew.
Savannah
did she?
didn't know anything about me.
Like nobody
Right,
knew
it was her best
about
friend,
this
Holly.
breast deal.
They didn't
Right,
meet
She
until
left that
college.
life and that was it.
right.
Yeah,
She never
left
talked
behind.
about
It
it.
started
They was
the
like,
life
oh no,
after
she did.
college started,
Even
everything
her
else happened.
ex-husband was like, Gee, I'm a boyfriend in high school.
Right,
Right, nobody knew.
He assumed he was her first love.
Right.
Right,
Gee, I'm
until
a
he showed the
boyfriend.
pictures,
Right.
he bought them pictures with him
Right.
to show her daughter, and he's like, yeah, this is us.
Mhm. I was like, wow, but you found out why. So she lied to
Yeah.
Brett to say
Right.
she was a different person back then, because you could tell her growth, because with JP, she didn't use no kind of antics to keep him. She let him go, went about her business. But with Brett, like you said, she was in high school. This was her first boyfriend.
And also, remember, this was right after her dad
right.
killed himself, or
Mhm.
supposedly killed himself. So
Suicide.
her life kind of changed after that. She thought she lost her dad. And Brett and his band went to California to talk to people about making a record. So she assumed that by him leaving, he was gonna leave her. He was gonna get famous and not want to be bothered no more. So she cooks up this scheme, calls him and says she's pregnant. So he rushes back, leaves the band, and eventually she tells him when he gets back that she had a miscarriage. Because she didn't know how to, because she figured out afterwards, she really did not want to be with him like that. She got a letter from the college she wanted to go to.
She's like, oh, I got into college.
And she like, I don't think I want to be with him like that. I want to go to college and stuff. So I want to get out of this now. So her plan was, okay, this is what I do. I'm just gonna tell him I lost a baby, and that's gonna be the end of that.
Right. Didn't even say she's just, oh, I had a miscarriage, and then just went off to college and never spoke to
Went off
him.
to college and they
Right,
never
yeah, it's
saw
like,
each
man, she
other
just never
ever.
saw him again after
Yeah.
that. It's like, man, the man just came back for you and you went on off to
I
college.
was like, that was savage, Vivian.
Yeah,
Right,
so
yeah,
because he left the band or whatever, they band never went anywhere. They wound up going back their separate ways and doing other things.
Yeah, she messed them all up.
Right. She
Well,
sort of did.
remember when Martha foresees like what would have happened?
Yeah,
If
if
so.
so, but yeah, and so it was a good thing.
It was a good thing.
They
I mean,
did,
like,
like, she did
you know,
leave
like,
him.
Depending on who you look at,
everything-
yeah.
But at the time when she left him, it was kind of messed up.
Right,
Now the
like,
man didn't get
right.
anything, so.
Because you're thinking, oh, they could have really took off. Their band could have been successful.
Yeah.
But you find out later on that they would have had a little bit of success, but one of them would have died. And
Yeah, somebody was an alcoholic,
Somebody's
or
mom
he
got
married
cancer
somebody
and
and she
died.
died.
Yeah,
and he was,
so
when I went to jail,
Right, something like that.
Harvard or something, yeah, so they
Yeah,
lives
just
have
it.
been.
the fame and the
trash
fortune
in
got to
Canada.
him eventually.
right, so it
Yeah.
all worked out for
It
him
worked out
in
well,
the
but-
end, for him.
I guess everybody in the end.
I guess, not for Vivi, she dead, but
Well, she
yeah.
was dead, but throughout the story, Martha's letting her view in on what's happening with
And
everybody.
go back, like do
Right, it's going
flashbacks.
back and forth, her talking about, what's going on with them, what's going on with her ex-husband JP, and all the three of her kids.
So
Well,
wait, what? I know she visited moments with her dad, so why didn't she go back to before her dad died to see what had really happened?
I don't think she was more interested in what's going on with her kids.
Right, I think she wanted, yeah.
Because she knew
But she was
that her
going back to
daughter
see
had
Brett.
told her. Yeah, but she had forgotten about Brett anyway. I mean, he wasn't a big part of.
And she was, because
Ravine
in her
at the time.
flashbacks or in her moments that she was going back to high school to see.
Yeah, she was thinking
Just
about it.
thinking about
that.
what
Yeah, I don't
happened, but I
think-
think her main concern was the kids.
Yeah, no, I
because
agree.
She did so much for those kids.
No, I
mean,
agree.
she was always there for all of them, especially Carson, who was, like I said, a wild child. She didn't know what was going to happen to her, but her not being there. Because the dad he wasn't really, not that kind of dad. He was there, but he wasn't there, so to speak. Yeah, so she was, just visiting, checking on Willa, because she knew Willa was pregnant. She was happy because she was up here. She knew that Willa's baby was fine and well, and she wasn't going to miscarry, it was going to be fine. And then watching, her middle child, who was Carson, watching her, seeing what's going to happen, with her and her drugs and, being
Giving her that
promiscuous and
nudge,
all
yeah.
that. And
Being
then
with
Leo,
the married man, and she was
Yeah.
doing,
who took it hard, and then everybody else was really distraught when his mom died. He didn't know what to do with himself.
Carson.
So watching that
Mhm.
and her, trying to not nudge anybody if she didn't have to.
But she did, she nudged
She
Carson.
nudged Carson not
Get
to
your
take those
stuff.
drugs.
she gave her a
No,
big
she
nudge, but that would have
nudged
been.
Carson to get out that house, didn't she?
Right, she nudged, yeah, because she made that other lady get a phone call, his wife get a
But
phone
she
call,
didn't nudge, yeah.
so
Yeah.
she can get out the house.
She said she wished she probably should have nudged and shut the door when she was in the bathroom doing drugs, but she didn't.
No, she wish she had told her to throw them away, she said.
Oh,
Flush them
okay.
down the toilet,
Oh,
but she
okay.
did. But she did stop her from actually taking the drugs, because she was gonna take those pills, and she stopped her from doing
Wait, didn't she do, she was taking the cocaine at work, didn't she?
Yeah, but she was wanted,
Yeah.
I don't know if she wanted to kill herself, but she just wanted to
No,
get
she was
higher.
trying
She
to-
wanted to get high so she can be level,
Yeah.
so she can get out there and do her
Yeah,
job.
so she did nudge her not to take it, but she never threw it away. She put
No,
it in
but
her purse. or
she
something.
was saying, no, she
Oh,
she
close the door so
did the
nobody would
drugs,
see her.
but she left the door open and
Oh,
old
okay.
girl went and
Right, right,
recorded
sorry,
her. So
sorry.
she was saying that nudge should have been, she should have closed the
The door
door or
first.
something.
Yeah.
Not that she didn't do the drug, just close the door.
Right, right,
So,
so keep on doing the drugs,
right,
I'm
but
just gonna
close the door,
hide you when you do it.
so nobody can see you and get you
Right,
fired.
right,
But-
right.
But Carson eventually straightened up, like
She
she
eventually
sobered
straightened
up and you know, I don't know what was going on with this dude. Like I said, maybe it was a cry for help, because I'm like, Carson, if the way that they described her, like she was so beautiful and she was so
Everybody
pretty.
said how
So I was
pretty
like,
she was.
why are you going with this older dude if you can have, you know what I mean? If,
So, you know, sometimes it was the attraction, sometimes I know I can have this, but I can't have that, so I need to go see what that's doing. So she may have been able to get any man she wanted to, but I don't want them, man, I want him.
I said, why want this
I don't
old
think she
dude?
really even wanted him. I think
Yeah.
it's kind of hooked up.
Right.
Well,
they
she
just-
said she was in love with him, didn't she? Was
Well, I think
I don't
I
think
think she was, or she thought she was.
No, she was.
Cause she was like stalking him, you know, outside, and she was
Yeah.
looking to see what he was doing. So I don't know if it became an obsession to her or just, you know,
She was wilding out.
or maybe it was just the thrill of
that
it,
too.
the thrill of being, you know, with this married man.
Right, and then remember who he was. He was Willa's brother-in-law?
In-laws,
Yeah.
in-laws.
Right,
Right.
her sister-in-law's husband. They
Right.
kind of like
Her-
hooked up one
right.
day and haven't seen each
But
other
she
behind me.
pursued him. She
Right,
went up
she
to
kinda-
his
yeah,
room.
she
He
kinda-
was, but
That's
after
what I'm
he had
saying, why?
already had, you know.
Right, and I think it was almost a
Enticed
challenge to
her.
her. It might have been a challenge to her to say, okay, because I
Like,
know I
I'm
shouldn't
going
do
back
this, but let me
upstairs.
see what's gonna happen if
Yeah,
I
I
do
was
this.
like, what is he doing? Going to your whole, anyway,
I don't
whatever,
know.
Carson. That's what I'm saying, like, if they described her being so young and pretty and, you know, beautiful, it's like, why are you going after this old married dude?
Cause she
Cause she could.
could.
I'm just saying, like.
Like I said, she could have any man she wants,
Right.
but she didn't want any other man. She may have wanted him because he's a
She wanted
challenge.
to take Pamela's man.
Right, and the oldest man's a
I
challenge.
take it.
Let me see if I can do this. I
Right.
shouldn't go up this room. Let me go up this room and see what's gonna happen.
But just saying, your in-laws of all people. Like,
I
what would
know.
Yeah, well,
you
she's
think?
scandalous. She was
So
like,
that
you
was
know.
Jen was saying, like,
Like you said, she was the wild child, so,
Yeah.
and I guess it's fitting. And Leo, on the hand, he was like a church mouse. He was so quiet.
He was
and
quiet. The only thing he did was
reserved
hang out
and-
with Cruz. They had been friends since they were like small kids.
Right.
And they was best buds. They would go, like I said, Vivi took him in, so it was like her fourth child, she's always say. So they were like brothers, basically. They did everything together. And then the night before she gets hit, something happens at this, what was it? It was a
Bonfire or
not
something.
bonfire for the high school. It was
Yeah,
some
because they were
last party
graduating,
after
yeah.
graduation. So Cruz has a girlfriend named Marissa.
No, that's Leo's girlfriend.
Okay, not Cruz.
I don't
Leo.
know, Jennifer, I don't know. I don't remember Cruz's
No,
girlfriend.
Cruz, he did have a girlfriend. I
Yeah,
can't remember
he
her
did.
name.
She was a
But-
lifeguard,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leo's girlfriend, what's her name, Marissa?
Marissa, yeah.
So at the bonfire, he decides, because they have a little crazy relationship where they off again, she was nutty. So he
Well-
decides to break up with her.
Well, we know Leo didn't really want to be
He
with
didn't, but we
Marissa.
didn't know that then, but he decided because the type of person she was, because she was Cruz, she's always talking about Cruz, because he was,
She
you
don't
know,
like him.
black.
Black make
He used to make
jokes.
jokes
Yeah,
about,
she
you
make
know,
these backhanded.
Right. Right.
and she's like, oh, he doesn't mind, whatever, you know, and he's like, I'm just fed up and tired of it, you know, but we breaking up. So he decided to break up with her that night. And for the longest, when I was reading this story, I'm thinking that's the secret, that something happened between Cruz and her. Because
No, I know
nobody
that
would
was the
talk
secret.
about what actually happened after that bonfire. But what actually happens is that Leo kisses Cruz.
And Peter.
And Cruz, you know, like, I guess, pushes him
Everybody's like,
off.
whoa, wait, hold on.
And
No,
then-
Leo didn't push him off, he just didn't kiss him back.
He
But
did, and
we're-
then,
yeah,
you know,
he
I
wasn't-
think hit Cruz after that.
No, see, that didn't happen. See,
So
Peter,
somebody got a black eye.
No, he could, because Cruz, when they saw Peter, Cruz said, get off of me, man, get out. And then Leo started saying, no, get out. So then he hit him.
He
Oh,
hit him,
Because
but he-
Peter saw, so he tried to
To
play it
pitch
off
it.
like, you know,
Like it was him
creepy,
doing it or something,
creepy
like it
Peter
wasn't him.
taking pictures of
Yeah, so he
people.
takes
Right.
a picture.
working in the
Right.
shadows or something.
Creepy Peter, who's conveniently away at some band camp. I don't know where he went.
Well,
But
Peter had
conveniently-
a problem. I mean, he was
Crazy
Yeah,
and
crazy. He used
stalkerish.
to take ADHD drugs or something.
Whatever, like I said, creepy
Yeah.
Peter.
So they sent him to this camp every year. And
To-
he was away when all this was transpiring.
Mhm.
After he sends his
He started
pictures
the
to-
whole, it's Peter's
Right.
fault. If he wouldn't have sent that picture, Cruz wouldn't have been rushing
That
to
is true.
Leo's house. Marissa wouldn't have been rushing to Leo's house.
Right.
If
So
Peter would have
yeah,
never
yeah,
sent
that's
that
right.
picture in the first place. So it's Peter's fault.
Right, Peter's in the clear.
Peter ain't
So-
even on there touching it.
So as the police is trying to figure out exactly what happened, they call in this other lady, well, she's another detective who's supposed to be helping them with
Lisa
the case. Yeah,
Mhm.
to try to figure out, so she
I don't
wants
think she
to,
did nothing
she wanted to figure out, no, look at the clothes, look at the shoes of the car.
that they couldn't find.
Okay, that they couldn't find. So they found that the shoes wind up disappearing. They was at the hospital somebody
station,
took them or they
corners.
misplaced, they couldn't figure out. So they're trying to figure out what happened to the clothes and the shoes. So finally, they find the shoes, but the shoes somebody threw in the garbage at Cruz's job. So that was something else that they, somebody
Suspicion.
trying to frame him. They're saying that he hit the woman, and the cop felt the same way, that he thinks somebody must be trying to frame him.
All right, because that's too obvious. Why would you go to your
Why
shoes
throw it
and
in where you work at? So in the meantime, Marissa,
And
she
how
drives.
did you get the shoes in the first place? If
Yeah,
they
you
was
took them off her feet and then ran with them. I mean, I don't know.
right when they dig the body up, all her clothes were there. So
Yeah,
Cruz
why
didn't
would you
go
take
to
the
And then why
shoes.
take the shoes and not the clothes?
Cruz didn't go to
Still
the
make no
coroner's
sense.
office and sneak in the coroner's office. So
Right, so that was.
that's what I said. That was just the cheap. Yeah.
Right, so, they, remember they tested his car, they didn't find any blood.
Right.
Nothing wrong. And then Marissa, in the meantime, went and told her mother that she had accidentally drove her car into this lake or river somewhere off the road. The night
Overnight.
before, yeah. She
Mhm.
said it was the night before. But the guy who was doing the investigation for the crash was saying, I don't think
Which
so.
was
Your
Willa's
car-
husband.
Right. Said, I don't think so. The engine does not have that much damage to be sitting in the water overnight.
Plus,
So,
if you drove your car into a body of water, how come you ain't wet?
yeah. And
How
then
come
she-
your phone ain't damaged?
And then
Shit.
asked, well, how did you get back? Oh, I hitchhiked. And then even Leo said, that don't sound like her. She wouldn't hitchhike.
You know, when
Right.
when that, I knew it was her. When that
That's what I
walked- when
said.
Well, she was
I
moving
said,
in, that's when I figured it had to be.
Because she
her.
was just
Because she was
she
trying to
was just
cover up
standing
for
there
that.
on her phone while the car was sinking like doo
Right.
doo.
yeah, I said, oh, she did it.
Yeah, it
And
was
then
her.
her people are the ones that kept stalling the-
sister,
right,
remember?
kept stalling the investigation. I said,
And the
yeah,
cop
she
that
did.
lied.
Right, and the cop, because the cop likes her sister.
Right, I said, they all in it together. She
So he
did
was,
They was
helping
covering
them
for
out.
her.
They
Right,
stole
right.
the clothes, they got rid of the clothes,
Mhm.
paid
Right.
somebody to throw the shoes in Cruz's
Mhm.
Right,
garbage
right,
at his
so-
job. And then she was telling her sister like everything was going on, like, oh, they closing in or whatever, blah, 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 blah. So she was, hindering the process. at
And
the
in the
same time.
meantime, Marissa was just all in Leo's face trying to get back and be all,
Yeah,
Well,
we
we
were
found
married
him and
and-
they did get back together. But he was like, and she kept telling the family, oh, we're getting married, we set a date and all that.
Yeah,
And then
when
his
did
grandmother because his grandmother was like one of those snooty people. She was like, I don't think so.
Right. And they looking at, okay, Marissa. It's
I
like,
thought she was, okay.
yeah, she was something else. How you gonna kill his mom?
And
They
then,
wanna marry
I
him.
remember she came out, she baked cookies or something, brought them to the house the next day. She was acting like nothing had happened. Just coming visiting, like, I'm so sorry, whatever. And you just killed this boy mama. And you still think we're gonna get married, right? What kind of nut does that? With no remorse, no,
Crazy, she's crazy.
like ain't nothing gonna happen. She
Rich,
thought this was never
entitled,
gonna come
crazy
out.
Right,
people
right,
that think.
right.
Like you said, her mama, she would say, oh yeah, my mom just bought me a new Jeep.
Yeah, thought they had money.
If I, right,
She
I
didn't
said,
care, like, whatever.
first of all, how
You
you
drive
just,
your Jeep and like, what? I don't think so.
right,
Okay,
like,
I don't
oh,
know.
I'm just gonna buy you a
Yeah,
new one.
No.
But first of all, she bought you a new one, but the guy was like, ain't nothing wrong with this one. And
Right,
it's
so
still
what you believe
fine.
in.
Like, so like I said, that's the kind of person that thinks they can get a, that has a
Way with it.
Right,
rich,
right, so-
entitled, that gets whatever they want anyway.
Yeah.
Marissa. So Marissa was the person that hit Vivi. She killed Vivi
Right, we don't find that out to the very end.
to
of
the
story.
very end. After we find out of what happened between Leo and Cruz,
Right.
which was really cool with Leo because Leo was like, we're still friends. He didn't make a big deal out of it until, like you said, after the picture. But again, if that picture had never been sent, Leo probably would have still been cool. He's like, hey, you're
Yeah,
my
they
best
probably made up
friend.
a lot sooner.
He didn't act all crazy about it. He didn't, he was like, hey, you still my best friend. I don't like you like that, but you still
No,
gonna be my
Cruz.
friend.
You said
No,
this-
Leo said this to Cruz.
Oh, because I
'cause
thought Cruz
Cruz-
said it to him. Cruz just-
No, Cruz said it. You're right,
Right,
because
'cause
Leo
he
was
told-
the one that liked Cruz.
Right,
You're
so
right.
Cruz said, no, we still
You're right,
friends,
you're
I
right, I'm
still
sorry.
love you like a or whatever, but
Right,
yeah,
right.
he just, I'm not like that, I just,
Right, but they didn't act the fool or anything
Right.
No, they didn't.
after that. That's what I said. So they handled it,
Right,
without all the drama that ensued around it because of the picture.
right.
As I said, mind your business, people. Don't be taking pictures of,
Well, Peter didn't like Leo in the first place, remember?
because they got in
They
a fight.
got
And,
into a fight
yeah.
back in high school over
Well,
some crazy.
Again, creepy Peter shouldn't have been
Yeah.
creeping
Well,
around,
Peter had a problem, and he just had a problem.
snapping pictures of
Yeah.
people in the
And then
woods.
Peter liked Marissa, who didn't stand a chance with Marissa, because she didn't like him.
Right, like I said, creepy
So I
Peter.
think what he thought by sending that picture that
That-
would have her break up with Leo
Right, and he
and
could
then
get
he would
rid
go
of-
to him, but that
Well,
did not happen.
Peter
All
did
other kind of
good.
stuff happened.
Peter did good running away, because if I was Leo or Cruz, Peter wouldn't have had a chance to send that picture in the first place. So
Well, who knew he even took the picture? Nobody knew until
they
it was
did.
sent.
They
They-
took the
they-
picture
Because he sent it to him.
right.
Well, that's when they knew, but after that, he left town.
That's what I'm saying.
But he
But
didn't run away. They
no,
sent him
you
to the
said
city.
that when they was in the woods, they was fighting because they saw that Peter had taken the picture.
Right,
So that's
right.
what I said. If I was Leo or Cruz, I wouldn't have been fighting each other. I would have
You
been
would've ran
Peter.
after him.
Right.
Right,
Peter
that's
wouldn't have
exactly-
had
I
a
know,
chance.
his fault.
Right.
Maybe just a shock.
Peter
like,
wouldn't have had a chance to send the
I get
picture
kissed, and then, like I said, Leo hit him.
in
and
the
then-
first place.
Yeah.
So as I
And
said,
then
Peter
remember,
lucky he
Leo
got out of
went and got
town.
drunk after that, and didn't remember what happened.
Oh
after
yeah,
that,
because
so-
Vivian was like, "Who drank my
Yeah.
tequila?" She thought
She
Carson
thought
did it.
Carson had because she was, always drinking, but it's actually Leo who had dipped into her.
Because Leo was so quiet, as like a church mouse. Like he was
He was a good kid who did
Right,
everything.
he was a
right,
good
right.
kid, but he was, like you said, you hear Carson's drama. You hear, I wouldn't call Willa's drama, but you hear more about her. And then you have Leo going through this mess with Marissa, but doesn't have his mom there. You know, so
Right.
Savannah swoops in and handles everything.
Yeah,
She's
she
Vivi's
sleeps in,
best
takes care
friend.
of everything, 'cause she
Her
was
and JP get closer because at first they didn't like each other. So I don't know what that was about. Or Savannah said JP's not good enough for you, or I guess she tried to warn Vivi away from JP, but the heart wants what it wants apparently. But then so say you warned her, and now you know JP's history, because JP just broke up with Amy like it was nothing. Like, how he going around just breaking hearts?
Well, he
Like
really didn't want Amy
he just-
anyway.
I guess he just got the courage to say, you know what, I don't even want to
I
do
mean,
with her.
I'm not mad at him, but it's just like the way he do things. Like you said, Vivi was savage when she just dissed Brett. JP was savage when he just, oh, I'm in love with Amy, and then told Amy, oh yeah, I'm gonna take you to the beach. Oh, I don't want to be with you no more.
I don't understand why he did it that way.
Why did you
Yeah.
take the beach? She's thinking she's gonna get a ring and everything.
She knew she wasn't gonna get that ring. Well,
Well,
but she knew.
She finds it thinking
Mhm.
that eventually he's gonna,
But she knew.
propose, but he takes that ring back to the store he got it from, and then a few weeks later decide enough is enough, we're gonna have to go.
I'm gonna ask Amy to move out, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, what is going
And then
on with
the crazy
JP?
thing about this story is Amy winds up with
With-
Vivi's old boyfriend.
Right,
Dennis.
right.
Who she had broken up weeks ago before she died, because she knew that he wasn't.
Amy
good
is
for
just
her.
all over her sloppy
Amy
seconds.
yeah. So Amy had two of her handbags.
Right, who are her
Right.
hand me down, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was like Amy's dilemma. Like you said, there was nothing wrong with Vivi's relationship with Amy. It was all on Amy, because Amy had this complex about Vivi. Like,
Right, she felt Vivi
and
was
she's doing it
better,
again.
or
It's
Vivi
like,
was
yeah.
right.
It's like,
She was
okay,
Vivi.
I took a husband, now I'm dating a boyfriend.
She was the
It's
kids, she
boyfriend.
tried to be friends with the kids and really like you.
Right, yeah, she was
So
trying
she
too
just-
hard.
She was.
She just wasn't
trying
being,
way
she was too
hard.
worried about living up to, what Vivi, instead of just being herself,
Right.
and being a woman and going up to Vivi, like Vivi went up to her and be like, I know, just talking to her, like instead of trying to, like you said, scheme and do back and throwing her coats in the garbage and just being petty.
She was.
But I mean, like you say, I don't know, you don't know what was going through Amy's mind with taking somebody's husband. And like you said, she was a pariah around town. Everybody knew what she did.
Right.
Well,
so-
not her. I'm not blaming Amy, because it takes two. It was JP. JP made the decision to go leave his wife to go with Amy. So I'm not
But she
blaming
was
Amy.
flirting with him, she was trying.
But again, if he was
That
any
wine
kind
shop,
of
she
man,
was.
no matter
He
how,
would have, but see, remember, he was feeling.
but that's what
down
I'm saying.
himself.
It
Right,
don't
so she
matter.
was just there,
She
and
was
she was
just
building
there.
him
It
up.
takes
She was
two.
telling him
Right.
what he
Well,
needed to
you're
hear.
great and you're wonderful
Right,
and
she
all
tells
this
him
stuff,
everything
and
he
Vivi
wanted to
not
hear.
paying him no mind.
Right.
He got
That was
somebody
him.
who's
I
actually
said that
paying
was
him some
him.
attention, so
Right,
we
so-
went this way.
Right. So I said that was him too. Like I said, that was going on with him, because like I said, if he was any kind of man, if he know he married,
Right.
regardless of how
Like,
much attention you paying
no.
me, but like, I have a wife and I have kids at
Kids
home.
I can do this.
We might be going through problems. I might be feeling some type of way by now, but I love my wife, and we're gonna, whatever the case. That's all he had to say, but he ain't do that. So
It's probably 80% of men, like, hey.
Right. You get somebody that tells you enough, strokes your ego enough.
That's
That's like, well, maybe.
You got it all.
like I
I'm not
said,
gonna leave my wife, but you can be my side
Right.
chick.
JP, what happened? She said,
I love my wife, but you sounded real good over here, so we can hook up later.
That's wrong. But like I said,
It's wrong.
It's wrong, but it happens.
but like I said, if JP was any kind of man, he would have just,
Yeah, but he was not.
But
He
he
was
was,
not
but
some
he
kind of
was
man.
good at telling.
He
the
was
truth,
a
like you
weak
said.
man.
But like you said, he was good at breaking up with people when he wanted to. He could have just said that to Amy beginning, but like, I love my wife. You know, I'm feeling
But
some
he-
type of way.
Yeah,
But
but
he-
he wanted to be with Amy, like you said, because she was giving him
He
something.
liked what
he
she was telling him.
She was younger and
She was younger and she was, like you said, she was all about him all the time.
Right,
So
she
when Vivi
worship-
was doing her
Right,
thing.
she was like worshiping him.
like her station in life was a little, like you said, she was just getting her bearings and
Right,
she didn't have an established career.
right, but
and,
Vivi did, and she was, living the
Yeah,
life.
it was like she didn't need him.
Like, I don't need you.
But she
Amy
never-
needed him.
Right,
she
Amy
didn't
did,
say
and
that.
she came to town with nothing.
But Vivi was making it work, like the flashbacks that Vivi made it work. She was like, okay, I can do this. Like, we're a family. We can, we can do it.
Right,
But
'cause
JP
that's
didn't
the kind of
care.
person she
Yeah, so she was gonna hold it together.
She helped everybody together, her
Right.
entire family. She wanted
But
everybody.
he needed more from
along.
her than what
Right.
she was given, not just to hold it together. He needed her to even need him. And she didn't.
She did.
I don't think
And
she
she
did
showed
need
that.
him, but I think that she let him find his place, like, 'cause he was still finding himself. Like you said, he had so many businesses that didn't take off quite how he thought they were. And, she was supporting the family. So I think in the sense, if he would have just took a step back and saw it in that light, that, okay,
Yeah, but he didn't see it that way.
that, she's got her book. I'm happy that she's got, and she read all her books. So it wasn't like he didn't support her. She's taking care of the kids, getting the kids ready, making, doing all this stuff. And she's also letting me find myself. She's letting me try all these things,
So all
these
that should've
businesses.
kept him from cheating on his wife, but it didn't.
But I'm just saying, maybe if he had looked at it in a different way,
But he
looked at it
He
as
looked
that,
at
like,
one thing.
that I'm not paying, she's not paying me attention. Well, she actually is. She's giving you room to grow while she's paying the bills, while
But
she's,
not,
what I mean?
She's not stroking
She's
his
not
ego.
struggling either, like.
Amy came in. Amy
Like
was,
saying,
Amy
you
was
are
just
just so
all.
smart, you know so much about women, my God.
Well,
And
she
Vivian
wasn't
just
stroking
like,
his,
I paid the bills, I got triple gold, I'll see you later.
but she wasn't stroking his ego in that way, like with words. But I felt like she was, like, because like you said, she never did tell him that you're a failure, that you're a loser.
She never did.
She never did
That's
tell
what I'm
him
saying.
those things. So even though she wasn't, like you said, what Amy was doing, she was doing what mattered the most. Her actions spoke louder than her
But they
words.
But
didn't
their
speak
action,
to
yeah,
Amy's-
they didn't speak because
He
she was,
didn't hear that though.
right, he didn't,
He
because
only
she was,
saw one thing.
right, she was taking care of
not
everything.
paying attention to
Right,
me.
all she had to do was pay
rubbing me
attention.
down or
Right,
whatever, and Amy
Oh,
was.
baby, you do, it's gonna
Right.
be all right,
That's how
baby.
he
You know
saw
I
it.
love you. You know you the man.
See,
You know.
That's just, I don't get that,
I
because
don't get it, but that's what happened.
that's what I'm saying. If he just took a step back
But
and
he
looked,
didn't take a
because
step
like I
back,
said,
that's his
Vivi's
problem.
doing everything. She, like you said, writing books, being successful, going on
She
tour,
was. She took care
having
of the kids. She
babies,
did everything.
having
She
young
was along
babies.
with
Brought
us,
home the
right?
bacon and fried it up in the pan, but she forgot that he was a man.
I don't think she forgot.
I think she forgot. I think she just got tired of him and.
Right, so she
doing
did
whatever he
everything,
was
and that
doing.
was the problem. She did
And he
everything.
didn't see
And
it
it was
that
like,
way.
And
what
he
am I
didn't do it,
here
remember?
for?
He didn't have her with the kids. Remember that. She
But
did
that's
it
like
all.
I said, that was
And
his
I
problem.
think
So saying
that's
he
right.
didn't see it that way. If he would have just took a step back and
Mhm.
evaluated the situation and say,
Yes,
okay,
he had.
Vivi is doing this. She's taking care of the kids. She's picking up my dry cleaning. She's
Right.
baking cookies, baking cupcakes, making smoothies.
Yeah, but he
you know-
didn't take a step back to look until after he died. Then he like,
Right,
oh,
it's like, yeah, maybe
Right. I could
I
have
had
helped
a
her
good
more.
thing, and I just blew that.
You know.
which is what happened, what men usually do when they,
Right.
man, that was a good
And
woman.
now he's like, how
She was
do
a
I
good
get out of
woman.
this?
Why
And
did
he
I
was
miss,
like,
And
man,
I
I
don't
messed
think,
up.
right. I don't think he stopped loving Vivi. He didn't, because
No,
he
I
said
don't
this,
think he
that
did,
He was
because
still-
he
just
bought
like you
all her
said.
books and he read them, and Amy always said that he always put all her
and
books
he
all in
was
one
always
spot,
there
like,
for her. Like,
yeah,
they
whatever
still
she
had a
wanted,
cordial relationship.
yeah, but that was, but Vivi was still on her own, doing her thing.
And I, like I said,
And
that's,
didn't have to,
And when he left, she still didn't need him. So she kept it.
I mean,
she
she
didn't hit
had to keep it moving.
Right, she had to keep it moving.
She had
So
them
it was
kids.
like, okay, I was here and she didn't need me. I left, she still don't need me. So I may as well be with her because she needs me.
Right.
So
Mm.
Like I said, he didn't take a step back after Vivi died and figured out he lost something that he could have held on to if he just was a big enough man, like you said, and thought about it. Everything this woman has done.
Well, talk
She
it
has
through.
done nothing but support
Communicate.
me through all my life. And what do? I go cheat on her.
go and find me
And I
another.
think that's what hurt him the most.
Mhm.
And that's when he decided, I gotta get out of this thing with Amy because this is
Right.
wrong.
Right,
Right. It's like, man,
It took
I
him
can't be
10
like,
years to do that.
after he looked at her and said, you know what?
I thought
This ain't
he,
working.
like it made it seem like JP thought being with Amy would make Vivi upset, or
I
like
think he was trying to make her
trying to
jealous,
get,
but it did not.
Vivi
She was like,
went
it didn't
about her
work.
life because, like you
"You don't
said,
want it? Okay, fine."
he wasn't helping out in the beginning because I can do this without you. And then you left. I don't want you back because, like you said, you wasn't helping me do this in the first place. I don't need you. I went and got me a house, a money pit. I love that. I've never seen the movie, but I want to now.
You haven't seen the
I
money?
haven't seen the money pit movie. I want to
I've
see
never
that
seen it
movie.
either. I don't know.
With
Oh
Tom
my
Hanks.
God,
That's what it
Tom
made me
Hanks
think of,
is
yeah.
So hilarious. That is the most funniest movie in the world.
I want to see that movie
That is,
now.
you must watch that, because especially if you're doing some renovations in a house.
Oh yeah,
my God.
right
Because
here. Yes.
everything that could go wrong went wrong with this house after they bought it.
That's what Vivi's house. That's what they call it, the money pit, because
Right.
everything, she said everything that could go wrong with this
Went
house after
wrong.
she bought it, so they called it, they nicknamed it the money
Money
pit.
pit, yeah. I thought that was
That's how I
funny.
feel. Me
I have
too.
seen the movie.
I haven't seen
So
the
many
movie, but I
times.
know
But
the
yeah.
movie.
I knew the movie. I knew that's why she
Yeah,
called it. But
That's why I thought that was funny. And I'm like, oh, now I want to see the money pit. After reading this, and she made so many references to like other things, like the song was Aerosmith. They say it was the Aerosmith.
It was
verse
the Aerosmith song
that he took the verse from in the
Right.
title. So I was like, I've never listened to this song, so it
Well, I
made
don't
me
listen
want to
to
go.
Aerosmith, so
Me
I-
neither, but it made
I
me
like
want to
Aerosmith.
listen to. I don't
I
dislike them,
listen to it, but
Yeah.
I don't listen to that. Like they come on the radio.
but it made me want to go listen to the song. So I listened to it on YouTube because I'm like, oh, So I like that she made a lot of like pop culture and like references in the book to things like the movie and the song.
The only thing
So
that confused me in the hair is when Martha was telling her, okay, it was time, her time was up. That the summer was over, and she was asking, can she have some more time? She said, no, you only get a certain amount of time or whatever. And she was saying, don't worry about it, you're gonna see people that you knew. So she was asking about her mother, and said her mother was, what her mother do?
her mother's
Her mother was
Martha
her mother was like her,
Her
but her
mother was
mother
like
was
Martha, but she did something else.
for animals or something. Wait, no.
no, she did like her, but
did.
she was a super Catholic something, which I thought that. And I'm like, what about do they have some super Baptists? Do they have
I know
some
she
super
did
Methodists?
something more special with Martha.
She did something, but
Really?
she said
But,
that she was
yeah.
a super Catholic, or she was
She
devout.
said she wouldn't actually see that much of her because what her job was.
I thought
Right.
I
And
thought
then
her
she
job was
said,
like
you would
Martha.
see your dad. And she said, my dad? She said, yeah, your dad's in the choir. And I'm like, wait a minute. If he killed himself, how's he in
That's
the
what
choir?
I said. That's what I
When
said.
you
They
kill
never
yourself,
said.
which is the ultimate sin, you'll never forgive my
But
God.
if
and
you
will
can-
sin
if
and
you-
But that's what
that
her
listen,
mother
listen.
told her though.
Yes,
alone
no,
tells me something
that's
else
something-
happened.
that's something else. But listen, and this is what I've always, when you accept Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior, say you cannot be taken from his arm. So if that's a sin, you commit suicide, because there's always been a argument about that. If you commit suicide, are you still saved? Will God forgive you for that? So I don't know, because people say that's the ultimate sin. If you kill yourself, because you're not supposed to kill yourself.
It's not supposed to be though.
That's what they
It's
tell you,
supposed to
but
be the ultimate sin. Like, he doesn't
again-
forgive you for anything else but that.
no, they can't beat a but.
I'm
There
just
is no
saying,
but.
that's what's always been said, not true or
And
not.
that's what I've
I don't
always-
know.
You gonna
That's
forgive
what I've
me?
always been told, but somebody told me, when you're saved, you can't be unsaved because you have
No matter
Jesus.
what, right? If you
Jesus,
repent, you
covers
will
you
your
for your
sins.
sins, your past, your present, and your future sins. You are covered for those sins.
Well, how do we know her dad was even saved? Because
Well, if
her
he wasn't
mother-
saved, then
he
I
wouldn't
her
don't
be
know.
in the
mother was the
choir.
religious one.
Right,
She
so if he
was-
wasn't saved, then he's, I don't know
That's
where
what
he's
I'm
at.
saying. If he wasn't
Why
saved,
he's in the
And
choir.
they
he
never
wouldn't
mentioned
be in the choir.
anything that
So
much
that's
about
what
her
I
dad.
said. Why didn't she go back and see what really happened
I
to
don't
her
know.
dad? Because like I said, I wish she would have talked about that more, because there was obviously something going on with her dad and her mom that she never knew. And her mother didn't want to talk about it. But I'm like, your husband just died, whether he committed suicide or not, he's dead. He's
But
not your
remember,
child or
and
something.
we don't even know if that really was happening. All she did was
Right.
told her, your dad, we found him in the garage, he, covering or whatever he did.
But her
Well,
mom
yeah,
was so
and
adamant.
he
Don't
might
know
have fallen, he
why.
might have just fallen asleep. Or, I
He
mean,
left no note or anything.
right,
That's
so
what I'm
maybe he
saying.
didn't commit suicide. Maybe he
was
accidentally.
depressed or
Because they would go to
whatever.
breakfast, they would do their weekly
Right, they would.
Yeah,
breakfast.
so he might have
And
just
he
been.
met Brent, and he, like I said,
It might have been an
someone-
accident.
It
He
just
might-
doesn't make sense that he killed himself.
And
all
would
of a
not
sudden.
leave a
And he in the
note or
choir.
anything.
Like I said, if that was the
Especially
case,
for his daughter, who seemed to be really close.
Right, so
Exactly.
he just fell asleep. He was tired. He fell, it may
Something
I don't
happened.
know. I wish
It may
they-
not have
I hope
been
they're
a
writing
su-
those books just to chill with
Yeah,
that.
That's what
because
I
it may
said.
not have been a suicide. It may have been an accident.
that's just I'm wondering why they ruled it a suicide. But like you said, it could
I
have
guess
been.
to maybe the circumstances that it happened.
Because like he ain't
He was
hang
in the
himself or
garage
nothing,
alone.
no.
Yeah, he didn't do anything, shoot himself or anything.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, they just kind of skimmed over that.
Right.
don't
But I
know.
mean, but it greatly affected her. It obviously affected
Right,
her,
yes,
you know,
she-
but they didn't
She
say.
probably could have gone, like, say,
You know,
you know, can I go back and see what happened to my dad? Well, he was in the choir, maybe she can go and ask him.
Well, she could go.
But
ask
like I said,
him.
if there was a suicide and her mother was so adamant and all this, she learned, how is he in the choir? How is he in heaven? If that was such
That's
a,
what, yeah.
so that's why I said something they didn't
Something- I
really
think
talk
something
about.
else possibly happened to him.
going
Yeah.
on.
I'm still talking about the Catholics. Why is she, oh, she's with the super
I don't
Catholic.
remember that
My
part.
thought was like,
I can't remember what exactly
Me
her
neither.
job
I
was.
thought-
yeah, but
thought she
I
was
know
a
she was a
Martha.
super Catholic, because my thought was, why are there
Yeah.
just Catholics there? Are there some Baptists
No,
around
I
there?
don't know.
Because
Are there
they
some
said,
Protestants?
didn't they
Are
say that she
Jehovah's
was a guy?
Witnesses there? I don't know who's there, but why is she Catholic? Are they just for Catholic people?
That
I don't know who
I
else is
can't
there,
remember
but the
what she
Baptist people
did.
should
I
be there
don't
too.
either, but I just know she
But
just said.
I
whatever
thought
job
Martha
was.
said she does what I do, but something
Yeah, I think, but
else.
she does it
said
for
you
some-
wouldn't see her because of what her job was.
Right,
I can't
but she-
Not
remember
as
what they
often.
said.
You'll see her
Right.
around here and there, but not.
But she
Oh.
does what she does, but for somebody, I guess,
You're right.
for
Right.
I
others.
can't
Whatever she
remember.
does. Yeah. She on her own
She
thing.
said
or
a
something.
super
So I'm
Catholic,
like,
huh?
oh, okay,
Yeah, it was
good
some
for
kind
you.
of Catholic,
That's
and,
kind of scary.
that's what caught me. I'm like, wait a minute.
A super cat. That's scary.
It was some kind of devout Catholic or something, and that's why I'm like, where's the rest of the people? Maybe because she was Catholic, maybe that's why the Catholics stay in the Catholic group. I don't know.
I don't think-
This is
What
a
happened to the Church of
whole-
God in Christ people? Where's everybody else?
I don't think heaven's broken up like that.
Right, I'm like,
I don't know.
why did they have to say Catholic?
I
Why
think
couldn't you
just
just say?
believe us, that's it.
Right, I'm saying,
Well,
why?
maybe because of the whole issue, like you said, with the suicide, maybe because that's Catholicism, like Catholics believe that if you commit suicide, you're not going to heaven. So maybe they put that in there to say she's with the Catholics, and then they talking about her dad is in the choir. So maybe there's some kind of,
But Martha was in the choir too.
okay, but
Yeah, so-
Martha didn't commit suicide.
No.
So that's what I'm saying. Maybe they made
So
that
that's what I'm
distinction
saying,
throughout
what
the
makes me
story
believe
because
they
they were
not
saying,
suicide.
right, throughout the
I'm a little
story.
insulted by that.
Uh,
Like, where are other people?
I don't know, like, it's a whole nother conversation.
Well,
like
I
you said.
said, and this is her interpretation of what happens.
Right
die,
after,
so,
right,
you know.
right, yeah, of course, you know.
Nobody actually knows. Somebody's coming
I
up
actually
here to
like
tell
this
us.
interpretation. Like, I thought it was, you know, it was obviously sad that she died, but I thought that it was a good story. Like, I
think it
enjoyed
was,
the
but I
story.
think it
I
kinda-
wasn't sad, like I thought, you know what I mean? It was a sad that she died.
sad parts that
But
died,
she didn't
things
make
like
it
that.
seem like it was sad. Like Martha was a good guy. Like where she was seemed comfortable. She was in her
Right.
dream living room or something. Like,
Right,
she was
yeah.
like, oh,
so they had her
this-
view and she's
this
like,
rug, well, this couch,
it
like,
was like
she was
all
in-
the things she loved was in this one room.
right in this dream living room.
And she's like,
So
oh my God,
she
I had
painted.
that money.
She painted. The author painted a really good picture, if you believe, like you said, in Christianity, of the afterlife, of what the
That it's gonna be
afterlife
better.
could be like. You know, like you said, like if you live. No, Vivi wasn't perfect. She never said she was
wasn't
perfect.
no.
But like you say, if you live a good life, if you enjoy what you do, love your family, that you could have a good afterlife too. You could go to the beyond, and you know,
It was it was an
so-
interpretation of
right, yeah.
And I think
what
also
her
it kind of the belief that we all have that when our parents or loved ones go, that
We
they're
want
still
them.
looking or they're with us
Yeah.
She
somehow.
gonna say, I know
in
you're looking
some
down on me.
way.
I know you're looking down
We
on
say
me.
that all the time, don't
It's
we?
reassuring,
And it's kinda
yeah.
like that, you know, my mom is there, but I know she's looking up on me like that.
You're right. Like I said,
I'm not
it's
looking up at me. She's
Wait, I'm
saying,
saying,
she-
hey,
you know,
you're
she-
doing
if she's
good.
looking up on you,
Or
she's
maybe
somewhere
she's
else.
nudging you to do something, you know, like, don't do that.
so like you
watching
said,
over
yeah.
this.
Right. You
Like
just say
Kind of
watching
a
over-
comforting thoughts.
Right.
Yeah, it's reassuring, like you said, to think that our loved ones are, you know, surrounded,
Yeah,
like you
they're having a
said,
good time
like,
just looking at us
right.
like,
And like you said, it's everybody's her interpretation of the afterlife, which I
Right,
enjoy.
right.
Like
Yeah, it was
I
a-
enjoyed
it was-
her interpretation. So it's like, you know, my afterlife, I want to be in my dream. I want to be on the beach in Hawaii
okay, maybe that's.
in my afterlife, or, you know, on a ranch in Colorado someplace.
Oh, God.
So
But I did love this book, I really do, but I am prejudiced because this is my favorite author.
This was-
I have read
this was
every
Miss Yvonne's pick.
last one of these books that she have written. I mean, every one. I started off with one, and then I went back and found out all the books she read. So I made a list and just started checking them off, just start reading them. The first one I read was at Christmas time, because she had a set of books called Christmas. It's a Christmas trilogy, so it's 3 books about one particular family that lives on this island. So I read one, and then I went back and read the other 2, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, this woman has written so many books. So like, let me find out the rest of them. So I'm just reading. I've read every last one. So whenever a new one comes out, I can't wait to that next book, because it's something about her stories. And I don't know if you feel the same, but somehow she like draws you in to this, what she's trying to say, her story. You feel like you're actually there. You care about the characters in the book.
Right.
And she sort of makes references to places and people in each book because it's this one small town. And so when you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, I remember him from this other book, you know, huh? So that's what I like about her books. They're so just overwhelmingly just, you know, it makes you want to just say, I'm going to this town.
Yeah, she does a good description of the town.
Right.
It was a nice, it was a good.
It's very visual.
Yeah.
And her
She-
books
Like
are
you
so
can actually
carefree.
see it in your mind.
Yeah, I felt
know
that
what I
way.
mean?
And her writing was carefree. Like I said, like even though this tragic thing happened, I still felt it was like really easy to read. Her writing was so
Her writing is always
carefree.
like that. You don't get
and it
confused.
wasn't
Even with the
clunky.
back and forth of,
Mhm.
you know, here and now, it's
And she connects things,
She
like she
connects them
weaves
so
these,
well.
she throws out little points and then she'll come back, but then she weaves it all together to make it connect and make sense. So I was like,
you don't get lost in the story, like I
Right.
go back 2 pages.
and
back,
she
like, what was
wraps
talking
everything
about?
up. The only
You
thing
know?
she didn't
Yeah.
wrap up, if you're listening, Miss Hilderbrand, what happened to Vivi's dad? But
Well, I
everything
think
else,
that's another book end up making, maybe.
everything else,
She
I
can't give
felt,
everything away.
I felt she wrapped up nicely. Like
It was very
she,
good. It was a very pleasant story. I enjoyed it. I did read one of her. I told you about the twins that changed places.
Oh, yeah.
I read that one.
let's
before.
see. And this is what I'm afraid of. Like Yvonne, like I said, she read every book, and I did. So the review is like out of 5 stars. What would you give this book? Or thumbs up,
6.
thumbs down? Okay, 6. I thought it was a really good book.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
I have not, and this is serious.
Oh,
I've read
I
all
forgot
of them.
Yvonne's
And
bias.
there's not one book I've read, I'm like that.
See,
I
I'm not
like
gonna
them
let
all.
Miss Yvonne bait me into reading because I cannot get hooked on
Trust
another
me,
author.
once you read one
And
of her
it's
books,
just
you
like
will
reading
be hooked.
James Patterson. James Patterson got like a gazillion books. And if you a James Patterson fan, like my mother-in-law, she was like, what's the next? She's reading James Patterson. I'm like, he ghost writing too many books.
He's not writing those.
Uh-uh.
His name, because you see when he writes with somebody else, his name is on that, but I don't think I think the other person.
But
is
like I said,
writing.
anything associated with James Patterson, if you're a fan, you want to read it.
Yeah.
And Miss Hildebrand got 20. I can't get hooked. But this book I was pleasantly surprised because this is not normally my type of reading. And so when Miss Yvonne recommended, of course I'm going to read it because that's what the book banter to us is, that we read books that we normally wouldn't read.
And I have read
because-
books that Ms. Tisha have suggested that I would never ever thought of
Right.
picking off the shelf.
Mhm.
But I have liked them, some I liked, some I didn't like too much, but we use that the same taste. We talk about it and be like, nah.
Or we'll pick books
Or we
together
both
and be
like-
like, let's read this book.
Right,
And we'll
let's
both
read
be
that
like, then we'll both be like, like,
Yeah.
but this book, I will admit, I was pleasantly surprised. I love the book. I love the story. I love the characters. It was a really good book. Not something I would normally read, but I'm glad I read it. So I would definitely recommend this book. What about you, Miss Andrew?
I'll give it 5 stars. It was a good book. It was a very pleasant book. Like you said, it's very visual. Her interpretation of what goes on up there was pleasant. I thought it was a good book. Like I said, I have read her books before, so I thought it was a good book. It did keep me interested, and I think
It
I
was
read
a page turner.
It
too.
was.
I read it like a few pages.
I finished the book before Miss Yvonne. I was like, what?
I had to keep stopping and starting, but when I actually got time just to sit, I could read 100 pages at a time. It was just that.
It was a page
So I was
turner.
like, it's like, what's happening next? I can't wait.
And let me mention something to everyone watching or listening to our book banter about Miss Andrew. Miss Andrew is like, she was talking about the word super Catholic. She is a super reader. This woman reads like books like boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, you done with that book already? She's like, oh yeah. So if we are recommending this book, Golden Girl by Elin Hilderbrand, that's how you pronounce her name. It is here at the Broadview Public Library, available for checkout in large print, regular print. It is on ebook format. It is on audio format. If you are interested in reading this book, please come visit us at the library. Check this book out. If you are looking for book recommendations, again, we have a super reader that reads everything, and she can recommend you any book. She can talk about any book. So we hope that Miss Andrea will join us again for another book banter. We are actually going to do one of the books that she recommended. So she actually will be back for another book banter. So that's going to be exciting. Anybody else want to say anything? before we wrap
Also,
this
if
up?
you have any recommendations for books you want us to banter about, please drop us a line.
Or you want to join us in bantering, please,
Yes,
we
please
welcome.
do.
We love having guests. We love bantering with more people. It's awesome. It's fun. So yeah, Thank you for joining us for this book banter, and we will see you next time. Bye.